is a route to get you there. So this is something that really can wow and dazzle the client. You can offer something that's very, very unique, and it's something that it's not a publicly owned castle where you have to deal with museum guests, and you have to deal with literally hundreds of thousands of people walking around the Louvre or walking around these, as a museum, viewing the art and stuff like that. You're dealing with something that's a little bit different. You're dealing with a privately owned location, which is totally, totally, totally different. And that's something that is a big value of what we offer at the French Dream Castle experience. So, it's offering a privately held castle, and also specifically, our castle is not heritage listed, which is a whole nother thing. So, if you need to make modifications to anything at the castle, if it's a heritage listed building, which the majority of fabulous castles in France are, you are unable to. Literally unable to. And if you need to make modifications, it could take literally years to make that happen. At the French Dream Castle, we don't have that thing holding us back, which is fantastic. So literally we can do anything imaginable for a client. So it's a pretty cool thing. And since I own the building myself, I own the castle, and I have all the teams on the ground, I can help make all of that happen, which is also something that can really be special and advantageous for you, rather than dealing with venues that are difficult, that are saying no, that are a pain in the butt, that don't follow through with anything. We're more than a venue. We offer these incredible experiences, all-inclusive, amazing packages. So for you as a wedding planner, you can bring your brides to the table. Now, this is something that we don't work directly with brides and grooms. We're interested only with working with high-profile, ultra-luxury destination wedding planners. That's it. That's it. The only people we want to work with. So if you are one of those people, you're somebody that we're going to have an exclusive relationship with, and it's not like something that you can really book outside of the wedding planner. That's very, very unusual. It's something that we are working directly with you. And that way you can bring the bride and groom to the table, and you can also earn a massive referral commission. So that's another thing. So I wanted to bring up, essentially, if you want to make more money as a wedding planner. All wedding planners have different modes, and we have an amazing wedding planner on, Sarah Bond, who is an expert, world-class wedding planner. We're going to bring her on. She is an expert in the field, and she's going to talk about, destination wedding planning, and we're going to ask her questions. We're going to have an awesome conversation. If you are a wedding planner, destination wedding planner, or you're a domestic wedding planner that wants to start doing destination stuff. Oftentimes, wedding planners, you're charging a flat fee. Whether it's a flat fee, for the scale of the wedding or your time, or whether you're charging a 7 to 10 or 12% a planner's fee that you're charging your client. Everybody has a different type of fee structure, but whatever it is, one of the challenges is that, of course, that might be your only fee. You might get a little bit of a kickback from, say, the photographer, the videographer, once in a while, the caterer. But a lot of wedding planners that I work with, they don't. They pretty much they get some kickbacks, but not that much, and certainly not from the venues. Right. And venues can be difficult. They're booked way out in advance. They force you to use certain vendors. They can be very, very challenging, and they aren't going to incentivize you. Right. They might give you some free rooms and stuff, but whoop-de-doo, they're not actually paying you. That the free rooms and stuff, that might just benefit the client and not you. So what we're offering is something a bit different. It's a bit unique. And what we are doing is we have a very unique experience. Not only will you offer this epic French dream castle experience that is unlike anything else out there, at this 49-room 13th century palace with the interior modeled like the Palace of Versailles. In fact, you can see some of the furniture I'm sitting on right now. I'm literally sitting on an amazing sofa from, this is the King Louis XIV era, and it's been completely redone and repainted in gold and made absolutely fabulous. The entire chateau is filled with this type of furniture, and it's an incredible and beautiful interior with 24 karat gold wall sconces, massive chandeliers, incredible pieces, spectacular beds. It's unbelievable. But the beautiful thing for you as the wedding planner is that we're not only offering this amazing experience for your brides and grooms, but as a wedding planner, if you bring that client to the castle and they select one of our packages and you book that client, you are going to get an entire, so say it's $1 million wedding. You as the wedding planner will get a straight 10% commission kickback to you directly as the wedding planner. This is private between us and you. This is not public. Wedding planner or the bride have no idea, the bride and grooms. This is something where on top of their fee, we are paying you back another 10%. So if it's $1 million wedding and say you're making 10% of that, so you're making $100,000 fee that you're charging your client, we are going to pay you another $100,000 fee. So you will walk away with $200,000 as your fees as a wedding planner, which I think is fair. I think wedding planners deserve it. And we are going to offer you this opportunity because we want you to handle the bride and groom, handle all of their needs, handle everything that they want, and then essentially liaison with our team on the ground that speaks French and can fluently handle all of the details on the ground here in France, which is the real challenge. And it's something that you are going to need. Now, our packages include everything from the catering to the flowers to the officiant to the musical guests to obviously the location. We can host up to 38 guests for the wedding party to stay inside the castle. Plus, we have we can host up to 1,000 guests on the grounds because we have over 12 acres of property. So it's an incredible opportunity, and we are extremely flexible. We can literally offer anything. So no matter what it is, no matter what the ask is, we can do anything you could possibly imagine. So, whatever the cuisine, whatever the musical guest, I mean, even celebrity musical guests, no matter what it is, we can make that happen. We've got relationships, connections, and we have everything, coordinated on the ground to help you guys maximize the experience of a lifetime for your client that you can deal with. And then you walk away with essentially double how much you're earning from the wedding. And you get a lot of help on all the logistical stuff because we make sure everything runs smoothly. And of course, we also invite you to come to the castle. So we are going to be doing a series of familiarity trips, fam trips, where we are also going to be inviting a few select guests of these webinars to come for an all exclusive, completely everything taken care of once you arrive at the castle, an all-inclusive experience for you as the wedding planner, to be wined and dined with our world-class chefs, to have an experience and actually stay at the castle so you get a feel of what it's all about, and you can go back home and rave to your client to make sure that they come and book their wedding here. So that is something we're really, really excited about, and we are scheduling those now. So anyway, guys, when you're handling these type of events, you want to make sure you are going to blow the client out of the water right now. And we're also not going to work with nickel and dime type of clients. So if the client is looking for an elopement or an inexpensive wedding, take them to Mexico. That's fine. But if they want to do something high end, take them to France and do something spectacular. Give them that unbelievable experience, just like you see. I mean, right now, France is hot. You've got all these films like, the Downton Abbey last film was actually featuring in France, going to France. You've got Emily in Paris, that's super hot. All these girls are just dreaming of coming to France right now. And we've got a lot of excitement here in France, a lot of films, a lot of television shows. And this is something that's really, really hot right now. And we are really, really excited to offer something this spectacular to the audience. So anyway, guys, I definitely want to get to each and every one of these questions. And I also am going to have my wonderful panelist, Sarah Bond, answer them. And I also invite you to ask some questions on the Q&A. We're also going to be launching some polls, hearing what you guys have to say as well. So Sarah, first of all, I would love to ask the great Sarah Bond to join us. And she is an incredible wedding planner herself. I have had the opportunity to work with her on a Zoom and we were really wowed and dazzled by what she does and what she provides for her clients. And she's done some pretty spectacular destination experiences. So Sarah, why don't you, I guess, tell us a little bit about who you are and the kind of ultra luxury experiences you provide for your clients, and maybe some strategies and some tips that you might offer our audience right now.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Bond. My company is Grace and Gold Events. We are based in Southern California. We do weddings all over, but obviously we do weddings around the world as well. One of our favorite locations being France and Italy. And Honestly, we just kind of love to travel. We have been in business now about 6 years, and we have this incredible team who is so knowledgeable when it comes to weddings. But I think what separates us from everybody else is I'm actually from the South. So I kind of bring a Southern hospitality perspective to our wedding planning process. And so I'm patient, but I'm excited about your wedding. But I also like to find what makes your wedding different from everybody else's. And I like to bring in our clients' personalities to our wedding. So that way, when their guests come in, they're like, holy cow, this is quite the experience. This is totally what we expected of our bride and groom. And, wedding planning is something I've been doing since I can remember. I was 15 years old. I was working with my aunt at the time, and I've had the opportunity to work for Disney. I've had the opportunity to work for some people in Beverly Hills. And it's just, I came to this point where I was like, I'm going to start my own wedding planning company. And it's been the best decision I have ever done. When it comes to strategies, I think when it comes to strategies for me and planning ultra beautiful wedding planning, weddings in the world is one, you have to be patient, but you also have to understand that when you're working with different people around the world, that you're comfortable. Because if you're not comfortable, they're going to showcase that you are nervous or that you don't know necessarily what you're talking about. So as you're talking to vendors on other sides of the world from where you're located, get to know them, get to know what their expertise is, and kind of just have conversations with them. Once you build up those conversations, you're going to feel really comfortable in regards to knowing what they can provide for you. I know when I was doing a wedding last year in Italy, one of the biggest things, and Kevin mentioned this a little bit earlier, but one of the biggest things that I dealt with was just they spoke Italian and I spoke English. And yes, I have like this little history of me being able to speak Italian, but it wasn't enough. So I actually ended up hiring somebody to help me with understanding what they were talking about, because all your contracts are going to be in Italian or they're going to be in French. So it's something that you need to know up front, and you need someone that you can trust to read them for you. So hiring somebody within your company, or even just someone who can come in for a couple of hours and read all these contracts that you're working with, that's going to be a fantastic strategy, because they're going to be able to help you understand what that vendor will and won't do. So that's probably one of my biggest strategies, is just kind of having somebody on your side when you're planning a destination wedding. I'm also going to tell you, when you're planning a destination wedding, that if you live in Southern California and you're planning a wedding in Italy or in France, you have to be aware of the time difference. So I can't tell you how many times I have been up at 5:30, 6:30 in the morning taking phone calls with those countries, because by the time we are ready for our work day, they are actually leaving their work day. And like Kevin said as well, months like August, everyone takes off, and you're just kind of like, oh my goodness, who am I going to talk to? Who am I going to work with? All that kind of stuff. I can't recommend enough to do your research when doing weddings in other countries and understanding when that time is that they take off, because you want to get as much stuff done as possible throughout that time. Now, if there's things that you are missing while they are gone throughout that time, work with your client specifically and have a list of things that are, listed by priorities, and be ready. So as soon as they come back September 1st, you know exactly what you need to get done in a little bit of time. So that would be probably my two biggest strategies, is just really being prepared and what comes with planning destination weddings, but also contracts. I'm a big contract person. I would say, oh gosh, 80% of our clients are actually lawyers or have someone within, a law background. So we work with a lot with contracts. So having someone able to read those contracts that are going to be in a different language and being prepared for that, because as you know, once you sign a contract, you're in it. So those are my two big things. Kevin, was there anything else you wanted me to say? Did I miss anything?
I love it. No, I love it. So, first of all, I really love the tip about hiring somebody on the ground that speaks Italian, because you work with this Italian wedding. What were some of the cultural differences and the kind of challenges that you dealt with on the ground when actually planning it that made it like a logistical challenge?
Oh, yes. Okay. So the first thing is here in America, we call Shibari chairs. But in Italy, they call them a whole different type of chair. So you kind of have to understand that, oops, so sorry, 1 second here. You have to kind of understand that when you are reaching out and you're asking for a specific type of chair, it may be called something here in the States, one word, but in another country, it might be called another word. So you have to be able to we use design decks and mood boards and all that fun stuff with our clients. So when we put those together for our clients, we actually send pictures of what we're looking for to the vendors that are helping us to have that variation a little bit easier to understand. When it comes to the other challenges, one thing that we've kind of learned is here in the US, we're good with shuttles, we're good with Ubers, we're good with whatever transportation that we need. But when you go over to another country, that might not necessarily be the case. So you have to understand how transportation works. I would say that one of our last weddings that we did, everything ended up okay, but I was almost overprotective in the transportation because I wanted to make sure that everyone arrived to the wedding on time. And I had to kind of learn when traffic was busy and making sure that we kind of went around that traffic so that way we could start the wedding on time. So just kind of being prepared for anything possible, just like you would plan a wedding here in the States and know those situations, you have to know every possible situation over in another country as well.
Now, Sarah, what was the typical guest count for your destination weddings?
Yeah, great question. So it kind of varies. We'll do anything from about 60 people to up to 100, 200 people. So it just kind of depends. I will say that when we have destination weddings and the couple are based in California, we'll see a little bit of a higher number travel to another location or to to another country to be able to enjoy the wedding planning experience. But if we're working with a smaller family who just wants the ultra luxury experience, we may see more of an intimate wedding. And so that's where our 60 people would come in, and they just really want to provide everything possible. Like you talked about earlier, the jets, they would want to provide several meals. They would want to provide potentially like a week-long celebration. And that's why they're cutting the guest list just a hint more. So throughout the entire week, maybe they go to some vineyards in France, and that we have to do like the shuttles and the dinners and things like that. And that'll lead up all the way to the wedding.
Wow, nice. Nice.
Mhm.
When you're planning these events, are you having to coordinate all of the details on the ground in Italy, or is that, just like you're booking the venue, then you're booking the catering, then you're booking the florists, then you're booking the musical guests, and you're arranging the transportation? Are you doing everything for them?
Yes, oh gosh, my team will tell you I'm a little bit of a control freak, but the truth is I just like to know what is happening. And that way, when I come over to wherever we're supposed to be, they know exactly who I am and that they know. I like to tell people I'm the boss, whenever you're, whenever you're planning something, if you have a question, come to me. I most likely know the answer, or I know the person to get the answer from. When it comes to our clients, when we first started the company, we started taking honestly as many clients as we could. But as we've grown larger and larger, we've become a little bit more picky at who we take. And we really want to make sure that when our clients book us, they get the experience of a lifetime. They want to know that we are there hand and foot. Now, I wouldn't necessarily think of us as assistants to our couples, because I feel like, we're not going to take phone calls at 11 p.m. We're not going to, do that type of stuff, but we are going to sit there and we're going to make sure that everything that we do is specifically planned and accordingly. We're going to be on top of it. There's a lot of our clients too, who the biggest thing with being an ultra wedding planner is it's building that trust with your clients. If you can build that trust with your clients and they can go travel the world and they say, here is, all the information you need to book my vendors, that is like those are like my favorite people, because when that trust is built, they're not constantly saying, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. They're trusting you, and they know that they will literally show up on a Monday, get on a plane, fly to wherever they need to, and constantly be escorted throughout the entire week. And then that way they can just celebrate, because that's what we do. We're the people of celebrations. And we don't want to constantly have to ask them, well, how do you feel about this? How do we feel about that? we take several meetings up front in the wedding planning process. And we have very specific questions that we ask to those people of what are your priorities? And we take those priorities into account. So that way, as we are planning them, we keep those priorities top notch. And so if they sit there and say, hey, we want to show up, we want to be surprised. This is, a couple of our favorite things that we love to do. We love our families and friends to experience. We'll say, okay, great. Consider it done. We will create the entire week of festivities handled. We'll book the vendors. We'll do the research. Eventually we will tell them how much everything is costing. But whenever you're doing an ultra luxury wedding, cost should not be the number one thing when it comes to the client's mind. They should just say, I want to give my family, friends, whoever it is, the experience of a lifetime. If you can provide that for me, I'm not worried about the cost.
Those are the best clients. That's what we're looking for. Now,
Exactly.
why don't you tell us a little bit of maybe some insight about where you find those clients, those premier clients, the ones that are just like, you know what, I just care about the experience. I know most wedding planners, they really, of course, crave those clients no matter where you are, because obviously they're generally a lot better because they're going to be caring about quality, not caring as much about cost, and they're going to believe in you. So I mean, other than word of mouth, where have you found those type of clients?
It's going to sound crazy, and I can't even believe I'm saying this on there, but a couple of years ago, and it's actually how I ended up getting my start in ultra wedding luxury, is you're probably going to laugh at me, Kevin, and I'm so sorry. But it was about 4 years ago, somebody had found me on the Knot. And they
Okay.
literally were like, hey, we like the way you dress. We just look at you and we feel like we can trust you immediately. And I have now planned I've planned 2 weddings for them. I've planned anniversary parties for them. I've planned birthday parties for them. And that was my biggest eye-opening experience, because once I was able to book them and I could showcase to their friends and family what I could do, that's when it became word of mouth. Now, with other clients as well, yes, word of mouth is probably my top-notch number one, how I receive referrals. But the other thing is too, is when you're working with venues, sometimes the client is actually reaching out to the venue first. So if they have a preferred list, or if they have planners that they ultimately trust, and they know that these people can come in and they could be a little bit hard to work with, but if they know a planner that can handle that and kind of put them in their place and explain this is how it's done, the venue is also a number one, a tool for us as well. And so we have extremely close relationships with all the venues that we work at, because we want them to know that we can handle it, especially if we know the space really, really well. And we can showcase what we can do up front, even through a Zoom call, and make that couple feel comfortable with us and trust us almost immediately.
Fabulous. I love how you mentioned that too. Also doing it on Zoom calls, because that way, like, they can feel comfortable. They can be from their homes, and they can kind of like get to know your personality, get to know
Yes.
the location. They don't have, if they're busy, they don't have time to travel to those, destinations, for instance, but you could do it remotely. I think that's a great idea.
Well, and
And we
that's
offer that
oh,
as
go ahead.
well here at the castle. What was that?
Sorry. So I was also going to say too, like when it comes to trusting as well, there are opportunities where our clients say, hey, we're going to be in Turkey this week, but we really need to get a couple of things done. Can we just, get you to Italy and handle it for us? And that way you can see the space, decide layouts and things like that. So that's another opportunity that you get, that you take when you become someone who does destination wedding planners, is you might be going to that location several times and being able to meet certain vendors during that time too. It's all about relationships personally.
Absolutely. Now, I
Mhm.
wanted to talk a little bit about something that you offer that I really found innovative, and that is your Pinterest boards and your inspiration boards that you provide for your clients, because not all wedding planners do this. And I really love it. And I'd love for you to kind of coach us through some of your strategies for this, because I think it's brilliant. I think that obviously Pinterest is a beautiful way to find it, because it auto populates other ideas that are related to what you're, what the picture that you're looking at and you're saving to a board. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that process and how it's kind of helped you, with your clients, and wowing and dazzling them, and offering a theme and a feeling that's really going to be relevant to them.
Absolutely. So whenever we're working with clients, we first do those first few meetings, it's important for us to understand what the client wants, what they're looking for, how they feel comfortable. Some people might say, "Hey, I want to get married in the Malibu Mountains," or "Hey, I want to get married on Lake Como." And so whenever we are looking to build specific things, we want to understand what those priorities are. And so when it comes to Pinterest is a fantastic tool, but also keep in mind too that there are some things on Pinterest where you have to understand that it's not real. I'll just be honest with you on that. There's some things on Pinterest where you're like, that's just not going to be available, especially when it comes to flowers, in specific times of year. You have to understand what's available and what's not. Also, working in other countries, if your couple loves a specific chair, I have learned that specific chairs are not always available in other countries. So you have to understand what you're working with up front. Now, this was such a beautiful villa that we got to plan and design. This wedding that you're showcasing right here was for about 120 people. It was stunning. The client's parents actually went there and booked it for their daughter and said, "This is where we see her getting married." She fell in love with it. I got to go the second time with them, and it was just so romantic and everything that they did. But the client was very specific. She's like, "I want a very simple wedding and I want the villa to just do all of the talking for." So when it came to putting everything together, she wanted to have modern meets classic. And so in this particular picture right here, this is just when you get married in Europe, what you have to think about is everything is it's very romantic. It's very traditional. Here in America, you can create a very modern wedding, which is night and day from everything. And we wanted to really bring in just the beautiful aesthetics of the venue around the lake that you see here, the bar. We wanted to flower up as many things. The truth is the bride kind of brought down the flowers a little bit. Her mother and I were like, "Oh yes, we want to do this." But the bride was like, "But that's just not me. I'm simple." So we brought in the cold sparklers that we see there. One of my favorite things about this particular wedding is she was like, "I want music during dinner time." And so one of my favorite things personally is having a tenor sax play during like the dinner music and the first dance music. I think it's just so lovely, and just to have something live and they move. But in Italy, going back to, again, a learning experience, we learned that when you refer to the word tenor, it actually means singer. So what we thought we were hiring a tenor saxophone doing, and the bride absolutely loving it, we actually hired a singer. And she they came out, and she will tell you to this day that was the best decision / mistake that we made. But it was just so stunning and beautiful. And, it really had that Italian element that we weren't prepared for. And now anyone who's willing to get married in Italy, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you have to do this." It's the most, because they have an opera-like voice, which is just, it's just stunning. So that just really brought in the entire Italian vibe. And right here, this is the Lemon Grove. So at this particular venue, it was called Villa Batoni, and I believe it's Lake Garda. I always get them mixed up, but Lake Garda, which is just north of Lake Como. It was just stunning. The venue is easy to work with. One thing that we also had to take into account for this particular wedding was she got married in June, and we learned that June is actually kind of rainy season in Italy. So we had to be very cautious of what we were doing. And we got very lucky, but we had an entire backup situation inside of the villa. Heaven forbid it rained. So
Oh no.
oh yes, it was one of those where like, okay, we're going to keep it down to those last 24 hours, hope and pray, and it all worked out. I mean, the lights were everywhere. It was, even though that was not like as luxurious when it comes to flowers and over the top, it was so luxurious to her. It was the orchids that were placed specifically. It was the lake. It was the view. She got her photos back from a fantastic photographer over there, and she just called me and cried and was like, it was the best day of my life. And those words right there are just the best thing as a planner we can hear.
Oh, well, I love that. I love that. Yeah. And you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that about the photography, because that's something that a lot of times I would say that photography is what they have as a physical memento. After the wedding, that's literally all they have is a physical memento of the wedding. They're not going to have, they have a memory of the experience, but the photography is vitally important. And that's one of the things that, when you are doing a destination wedding, it's got to be amazing, especially if it's at a place like this. So, to give you an
Exactly.
idea, I mean, I've been known as a TV director, executive producer, and host of the TV show Great Escapes that airs on CBS, where we go to the most ultra luxury destinations in the world. And I've featured my castle, and we're actually featuring it on an upcoming episode. But my whole career has been also as a celebrity fashion photographer. And what we do at the French Dream Castle is we bring in only the best of the best of the best world-class fashion photographers that happen to shoot weddings, world-class celebrity photographers that happen to shoot weddings, the best of the best, and provide experiences where not only do they have, say, a 4-day experience where they can have their multiple dinners at the location, host up to 38 guests within the castle, but also do a full-scale fashion wedding shoot of the bride and groom leading up to the wedding, so it eliminates the stress on the day. So yes, of course, we're going to photograph on the day as well, but to create that absolutely spectacular wedding story with 8K cameras filming, with photographers, but without all the chaos there, where we can actually feature wedding fashion story that can get published in a nationally or internationally published magazine that we can provide in our package, which is kind of cool. So doing something like this, I think, adds a lot of value to clients. And if you can set something like that up, especially if it's a destination, oh my goodness, they can take this home and they can show this off on social media. They can show this off to all their friends and family. Very, very important. So that's something that's, of course, all included that we handle, and that we make sure is absolutely perfection. So Sarah, you have such a great wealth of information, and I think that obviously what you're doing is really working. You have a lot of vibrance and joy, and to me, that's one of the things that, I mean, I know a lot of wedding planners. Not all of them are as joyous and wonderful as you. So I
Thank
just want to
you.
say, like, is one of my favorite things when I get to meet a wedding planner that is just so sweet and so real and so excited about what they do. So I love that, and I'm sure that that translates really, really well to your
I think
your
so.
clients that you work with. It's absolutely fabulous. So now I've been asking some of the people out there some survey questions.
Oh boy.
Like, as far as what are the wedding budgets that you typically work with? What type of wedding budgets that you work with for your high-end weddings?
Yes. So, as you become a wedding planner, you have to know that there's different, call it, categories that you work with.
Mhm.
And so for us, I would say I recently just moved up into regards to the lowest budget that we'll take, no matter the size of the wedding. And that is now $300,000, which, to some of us, it's kind of like, holy cow, $300,000. Like, that is a lot of money. But to some of these people, the experience for their friends and family, it means everything for them. And so if they have that money and they're willing to use it, they're going to go to town with it. But you have to be mindful on how you use that money. So even though if you ever get a budget that is $300,000, if you're doing an Indian wedding, say at the Dream Castle, 4 days or whatever, sadly, $300,000, it's not going to get you very far. So you have to be very mindful, and you have to have set expectations that when you're working with couples, that they are able to increase their budget. But it's all about knowledge too. If you can explain to them in very good detail why the cost has gone up, more than likely, if they have $300,000 to spend, what's another $100,000? What's another $200,000? I know that sounds horrible, but it's the truth of it. So if
Oh,
you can explain to them what costs actually are, they are more willing to spend more money. So you just have to be upfront with them. Um,
I love that. I think that's a really great comment, Sarah. And it
mhm.
sounds like, when you get into that category, the extra money isn't going to matter as much as long as they're educated. So, do you feel like they set the stage with a certain budget when they first talk to you, and then throughout the process, when they're asking for more, you then are say, absolutely, we can do it, but it's going to cost, X amount more.
If you
Is that
give
how
them
you
the
do it?
expectation that,
Yeah.
say you're doing this, and they're like, what is the ultimate thing that would just beyond wow my guest that I could do? And what's the cost of that? Sometimes I don't know immediately. And I'm very upfront about that. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to throw out a number and hope and pray I'm right. I'm going to do my research. So one thing that I might be talking to them about is, okay, maybe you're thinking 100 people, 3 days, you're talking $100,000 a day. Maybe your priorities are, not necessarily flowers, but what else entertainment wise you can bring to the venue. Maybe you want this massive band, or maybe you want a celebrity singer to come on board and sing your beautiful processional song. You want to be able to, prioritize those meaningful things. Now, if they came to me and they said, all right, what is the next step to just truly wow our families, our friends? I would say, well, what is something that you've never done at a wedding before that you would just personally find that as a wow factor? I have those conversations with people because even though these people do have a lot of money, they're still people. They still like to have conversations and conversing, what can be done, what can't be done. But one of my go-tos, and it's something that Kevin actually offers throughout his packages, is just fly them in privately, make them feel like they are royalty. Then, I won't say immediately what that cost is because it can vary if you're flying out of LA, it can vary if you're flying out of New York, Tampa, whatever it is. But I would go to Kevin or someone on his team immediately and say, hey, this is the next step for the couple. They're willing to potentially spend on this. Can you give me an ideal number of what the cost is? And then I would return it back to the couple because I never want to come too high, too low in regards to expectations for the couple. Again, it's all about making sure that the couple trusts me. And so if I come with them always with the right numbers, then they know that I'm always taking care of them when I'm supposed to be taking care of them.
No, I love that. I love that. I think that's a brilliant way to put it. And I think that oftentimes, sometimes wedding planners are afraid that, like, hey, if they're asking for more, they think that that money's going to you, but it's really going to the cost of the production and the vendors and stuff like that. And it kind of can put you in a difficult situation. Now, why don't you tell us, as far as your wedding planner fees? I'd love for you to kind of educate our audience because I personally think wedding planners always charge too little, and I think that they
Yes.
really need to increase the value because of how much work it is, how complicated it is. And instead of, all the money going out to the vendors, I personally believe that wedding planners need to be compensated. So what is, your typical, you charge a percent, you charge a flat fee. What does that look like for you? And what's worked
This
well for you?
is such a great question because I've actually recently had this question with my team again. I've hired a business coach in the past. I've hired, all these people to understand, my confidence level and making sure that I'm charging what I'm supposed to be charging. Now, when it comes to figuring out what your actual fee is, oh gosh, it can be tough. The truth is when I first started getting into destination weddings, it was a learning situation for me as well. So I wasn't charging everything that I should have been charging at that time. I paid a lot of things out of pocket. I learned a lot of rules. However, I had a learning experience that I knew for the next couple that booked me that had a luxury destination wedding, what I needed to charge. So if you have not done so yet, something that I can 100% guarantee you will be doing if you take on weddings like this, is percentage-based pricing. Because going back to the last question that I just answered, if they are starting with a $300,000 budget and all of a sudden they want to bring in, private jets, you are looking at a whole new world of coordinating those things. And that takes time. It takes so much time. And bringing in those hours, you have to make sure that you're compensated for it. So for me personally, what I like to do is, and this is where I actually make the majority of my money, is I actually keep my base a little bit on the lower end, between $20,000 and $25,000. And then for the percentage price, depending on how big the wedding is and how elaborate, where in the world it is, if it's here in Southern California, I will do 3 to 5% on top of each of the vendors that I am communicating with the most. So if you have, oh gosh, I'm actually horrible in math. I tell all of my clients, I pull out a calculator, don't judge me. But, if you if you are working with a caterer and you have a 4-star, Michelin, whatever, culinary experience, those do not come cheap. Those come very inexpensive, or excuse me, very expensive, not inexpensive. And you want to make sure, as you're working out timing, as you're working out allergy situations, as you're working out, hors d'oeuvres, late night snacks, because I will tell you right now, the people that spend the most money, they want to eat it still at 11 o'clock and they want it to be delicious. Even if it's hamburgers and pizza, that's what they want. But they want, you spend so much time with those people that the client has no idea that you're spending that much time. So that 3 to 5%, if they're spending $150,000 on food, then you get 3 to 5% of that, depending on how much, it build it in your contract. But again, it's those couple of meetings up front that I will learn more and more from my couples, and then put a finalized, okay, this is the percentage that I'll take from each vendor. Excuse me, I said that wrong. Not from each vendor, but this is the additional cost on top of the vendor you will pay me.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So essentially like a 25,000 base plus a 3 to 5% fee on the percentage of the budget. So so how does getting a 10% back on an entire
oh my gosh, it's unheard of.
like? Yeah.
It's unheard of.
You probably don't have any vendors that offer that. Yeah.
I don't. And, I don't even know, between my friends and my coworkers and things like that, like, that's amazing. So, I mean, to all the wedding planners out there, if you're looking to really step into this, get to know Kevin a little bit better. I mean, like I said, it's all about the relationships that you build and that you keep up with, because they take you far in life, and especially in this wedding planning world. You're in this industry, and if there's no trust with you and another vendor, you're not going to get very far.
Yeah.
That's the only downside.
And I'm all about incentivizing. To me, I don't want to be greedy. I want everybody to win. So that's kind of the way that we look at this. It's about how can we make the wedding planner win, because you're doing all, so much work with those, with those clients. But then the other benefit is we handle all the logistics and everything on the ground on the whole package deal, so that it alleviates all the pressure and the stress from you as a wedding planner.
One more thing, Kevin, that's just my planning price. I should make very clear that when it comes to the traveling needs and such, when it comes to flying over and hotel stays or wherever they're putting us up or how long we're staying, that is also on the client. So that's an additional cost as well that will also be kind of factored out as we work together. So they would have an expectation. I would have some sort of like cutoff of what I would charge them, and then they would use that money too. So I planning a wedding it's a lot, but I would definitely don't want people to think that $25,000 is not being charged for airfare and travel. That's just a separated charge that I want to be clear about.
Absolutely. And do you also charge like a fee for your time on top of that when you travel, or is it just the expenses of the travel itself?
I usually just do the expenses of the travel itself. To be honest with you, I'm so passionate about what I do that I don't want to sit there and be like, oh, this will take an hour. I'm such a talker. If it takes me 2 hours, it's for my benefit the majority of the time, not necessarily the couples. And I'm okay to take that hit. So
yeah, I can tell you're passionate. I love that. I think it's absolutely wonderful, and it's something that I admire about you.
Oh, I appreciate it.
That's absolutely fabulous. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate all of your insight, and I'm going to answer some of the questions of our amazing audience. And I can't wait to work with you at the French Dream Castle, so that you can plan and bring some of your amazing brides and grooms here to the French Dream Castle and give them that experience of a lifetime. So that sounds awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. I appreciate you jumping in.
My pleasure. Bye, everybody.
And offering all this amazing insight, which is really special, really incredible. And it's an absolutely beautiful evening here in France. Sun is out. It's a spectacular summer It's warm and spectacular. I mean, I love the summers in France. It's absolutely incredible. We did have some questions I wanted to address. We had a planner ask, where is the castle located? It's in Massier-en-Cambrai, France. It's about it's in the Auvergne-Rhône Alps area. It's about 3 hours from Switzerland. It's about 3 hours 15 minutes from Paris. It's about maybe 3.5 4 hours from Italy. So it's a very centrally located. If you want to go up to the Loire Valley, it's maybe in hour 45 minutes or so. Or if you want to, I mean, and there's so many incredible palaces and castles around. But the French Dream Castle is one of the most incredible as far as a luxury, ultra luxury destination wedding experience. So that's something that we are really comfortable and confident about. We also have a lot of incredible history here that I do want to talk about too, and some of the value of the French Dream Castle. I mean, not only do we have these amazing vendors, so we're working with incredible Michelin Star chefs and unbelievable musicians and incredible people here on the ground in France, but also the castle itself. It was originally built in the 1280s. So it's it's incredible. It's owned by the Count de Rot and the Roche dragons for about 800 years, and it's an incredible palace. It was built atop a 2,000-year-old Roman palace, and there was actually a famous a Roman general consul of Rome that actually is buried on the premises. So there's a sarcophagus discovered here of that, and a 4,000-year-old. For those of you guys who are interested in like Outlander, the amazing TV show, there's actually a 4,000-year-old Celtic stone on the premises that is really amazing and sacred. So it's a very special, a very spiritual, and incredible destination. And it's beautiful grounds. There's incredible laneways surrounding all 12 acres that we covered in ivy and beautiful pathways where you can bring an elegant carriage through. And we have horses on the premises. There's stables. I mean, it's an absolutely beautiful property. So it's absolutely spectacular. Now, thank you guys so much for answering the questions. We have some survey questions. What's your priority as a wedding planner? And it looks like the majority of you guys, I mean, you guys answered it you pretty much are showcasing all of that. But a lot of you guys are specifically wanting to provide even higher end experiences to your clientele. I love that. It sounds like you're exactly in line with what Sarah is offering. She's offering amazing experiences, but even more higher tier experiences. Like her base is 300,000. And then it goes up from there. And I think that's a very, very reasonable request and ask from our audience. I think it's brilliant. So I think that's wonderful. And I wish more wedding planners did that and go after the high ticket, high end clients rather than just, being stuck with clients that are just nickel and diming. I don't think that that's really necessarily worth it in the grand scheme of things. Okay, I'm also going to ask mastermind session. I'm offering you guys, I have a whole team of amazing castle consultants that specifically work with the French Dream Castle that also, handle working with elite wedding planners and guiding them on, essentially what you can do to maximize, to go into that high tier market, or if you already are in the high tier market, what we can do to offer an experience of a lifetime that is that higher end, high tier experience that nobody else offers. That super, super ultra exclusive experience that is very, very unique. So this is something that if you guys are interested in being a part of the French Dream Castle experience, go ahead and please click on the link in the chat, and you can set up a one-on-one personalized Zoom session with one of our castle consultants, somebody amazing from my team, and we can address all of that. We can also answer any of your questions about the castle, and a few of you select ones out there I may even jump on as well. Also, the property itself, it's really beautiful. It even offers this beautiful lake on my property that is absolutely beautiful. It's just absolutely elegant and incredible. And it's on the south side of the property, which is also really cool. So, no matter what it is that you want, every angle of the castle is really, really, really incredible. And it's, when you showcase this to clients, they're just wowed and dazzled. Now, another thing too is if you guys in kind of line with what Sarah was doing, where she's offering inspiration boards, that is also something that we offer to our clientele, is offering them an opportunity where we will and we'll do this for you as a planner. We will build some inspiration strategies that you can showcase not only on Pinterest, but also we will design a full scale 3D rendering of exactly what the wedding experience is going to look like at the castle, including the flowers, where the tables are set up, how everything's going to look, whether it's outside and inside the castle. So that way the client knows exactly what they're getting, adds another layer of confidence to have a 3D rendering where we have professional designers that will do that for you, which I think is something unique and special. I don't think a lot of other venues are currently doing that just because of the sheer cost and time involved in something like that. But for us, we're an elite experience. We are offering just that. We are offering that amazing opportunity so that it helps you sell your clients, because that's what it's about. We're here to be your team member. We're essentially here to help you as that wedding planner and help, you essentially sell your client on why the French Dream Castle experience is going to be the most amazing opportunity for them. And that now, of course, not only can you provide this experience of a lifetime, but it will also give you an opportunity to oftentimes double or even make more than double of how much you're earning on your the wedding you're planning, because we're going to offer that full 10% commission kickback back to you, because we want to incentivize you. We want to give you that opportunity, and we also value you as a wedding planner, and we feel like you're the most important facet of the entire process. So if those of you guys who clicked yes, I would be interested in a one-on-one wedding planner mastermind session and discussion about the French Dream Castle experience, please go ahead and click on the link in the chat and set that up. And we can set you up with one of my professional castle consultants to discuss all the details and also kind of help guide you throughout the whole ultra luxury destination planning, wedding planning business. I also was very curious also. I'm offering another survey. Do you currently receive any commissions and kickbacks from your vendors? Now, of course, most wedding planners do, of course, and I would hope you do, because you deserve it. So, do you receive it from the entire budget of the wedding, which most vendors, that's normally not the case, especially usually the actual locations, the venues typically almost never do. And then also a lot of oftentimes caterers, sometimes not. Oftentimes photographers or videographers do, or you don't receive any incentives. Now, if you don't receive any incentives, this is where this is an even more incredible opportunity for you, because you're going to make so much more money on the back end. This is something that's very, very valuable. And the reason I kind of came up with this is, you guys, I'm a TV director and I shoot major commercials. I shoot, $200,000 2-day shoots for clients. This is how I've been able to buy a castle. And when I'm shooting these massive scale campaigns on a regular basis, I also handle their media placements, and I'm able to essentially get a 15% kickback on the full media placement of an actual campaign. So if they have a $2 million media buy, I will get a 15% back end usage fee on that. And so I'm kind of utilizing that, whether it's 10%, on a wedding that you're getting from your client, we're offering you another 10% kickback on the entire overall event experience package. So that's pretty special. And I feel like, it's worked really well for me dealing with my clients. I'm going to give that back to you. And I think that'll be a great opportunity. So anyway, so I hope you guys please answer that question. Let me know, where you guys are at with that. And you definitely deserve kickbacks, because if you're not getting them, you should be demanding them. Absolutely. At least from the photographers and videographers you work with, as well as the caterers. And honestly, I think that the locations should too, but I don't think, they do. I've talked to, tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of wedding planners, and I haven't heard of any locations that are actually giving kickbacks. They're just offering, like, hey, a few free hotel rooms, which is no big deal. So anyway, I'm really, really excited for all of this, and I hope that this essentially sheds some light on some luxury destination wedding planning experiences. Essentially, some ideas from Sarah on how she made all of that happen, how she made the magic happen for her clients, and also on some of the pricing, which I think that is absolutely brilliant, in the way she prices everything. Okay, so I'm gonna answer some of your questions now, guys. I have a a question from Luba Gankin. What makes your castle different from other venue places in France and Italy besides being privately owned? That's a great idea. Great question. So, Luba, one of the things that makes us hugely different is almost so the majority of castles in France that are spectacular, right? There's some beautiful castles. When you go to you want to go to Versailles or the Louvre or Fontainebleau, or you're in the Loire Valley and you go to Valandry, which has the most incredible gardens in the world. And by the way, right now we're actually planning and planting out a full garden maze that's going to be absolutely mind blowing on the premises. And we just partnered with Dahlia and the most high-end French rose company in France, and we've just planted 600 dahlias and roses throughout the property. So it's becoming absolutely spectacular and in bloom this summer, and I'm really, really excited about what we have to come. So anyway, what makes us different is that a lot of venues, if they're publicly owned, then they're essentially in France, which a lot of the best chateaus are, they are museums. And they don't really do weddings, so that's a big difference, right? And even if they do, there are a few, like Chenonceau, for instance, which is it's spectacular castle in France. But the problem is this place like that is they only do it during very, very limited windows. They don't just rent it out for like 3 or 4 day experiences. It's just like, hey, you can rent it out for a few hours. Otherwise, it's a museum the rest of the time, and there's 5,000 people walking through. So, so it's a little bit of a different experience. It's not as ultra exclusive. The other thing is that if it is privately owned, almost all of I would say about 98% of the castles, in my experience here in France, are also rented out. The ones that do weddings are rented out as like Airbnbs or bed and breakfasts, meaning you have other guests there that are not part of the wedding party. So, I don't know about you, but if you're booking $1 million client, you're not going to want to have other guests showing up at that venue. And that does happen a lot. So it's something that, and especially if, maybe if you have a big enough budget and you can rent it out, 2 or 3 years out and lock it down for 4 days. But they also, most of the venues in France, a lot of the higher end beautiful castles don't offer all the services all inclusive. It's usually like you deal with the castle, who generally doesn't want to speak to you because you speak English, and they're generally kind of rude. So that's part of it, because they're French and they don't really like Americans. So you're going to deal with a little bit of racism, which I deal with every day. Or you're going to deal with just the castle that you can rent, but the vendors are completely separate. And a lot of the best castles here, that's set up so that you now still have to deal with these people in French, all these vendors who are very, very difficult to deal with, whether it's the caterers, whether it's musicians, whether it's the servers, the staff, all of that stuff. And then on top of all of that, I want to make it very clear. Almost the vast majority of all castles in France, even if they look beautiful on the outside, will look absolutely kind of tacky on the inside. There's this kind of vibe here where a lot of them, either whether they're French owned or whether they're owned by Brits, which a lot of Brits come over and buy them, they have this kind of shabby chic, really ugly, atrocious interior taste, which doesn't really work well with the French or the American clientele. Might work with the British clientele. So I'm not into tacky, I'm into classy. So the entire interior, just like this chair that I'm sitting on, the entire interior is this. We have, we just installed 57 24 karat gold wall sconces and chandeliers, massive, unbelievable, incredible collection of, I think we have 45 pieces of furniture, of sofas and chairs that were all from the 1700s and completely reupholstered, repainted, and absolutely spectacular. Also, every single bedroom is equipped with a 10-foot projector screen and projector to watch everything in 4K for the guests that want to hang out and relax at night. We have a jacuzzi on the square tower. We have unbelievable experiences that we can provide, whether we're setting up, for the groomsmen, if they want to have a, a pheasant shooting experience, or a fox hunt, or if you wanted to set up, we can do literally anything you could possibly imagine, elegant experiences on the castle grounds. So no matter what it is, we can literally create it out of nowhere. So we also have opportunity to bring literally anything in. Sarah mentioned, oh, well, they just don't have this chair here. Well, we can get anything, no matter what it takes. And especially for these high tier customers, we make it all happen for them, exactly what they want. Now, but these are absolutely incredible questions. And one of the biggest benefits is that I'm one of the very few American owners of elite castles in France, and we deal with you guys directly, and we have whole teams on the ground that make it happen for you, and you don't have to deal with all of those challenges that we talked about earlier. Okay, so yes, and Mona Harada Sung, she asked a great question. Do you hire local event managers to assist on site? Absolutely. We have locals that are on the ground that speak multiple languages. They can handle no matter who it is. And because we're also not only catering to American audience, we're also catering to the Middle Eastern sheiks, sheikhs, sultans, etc. We're catering to the elite in Japan, in China, oligarchs, oil oligarchs, and we're catering to the gamut of clientele, and we have people coming from all over that want this experience. So we have, of course, local people on the ground handling it. We have entire staff to make it all happen for you so that you can look like the hero as the wedding planner that made all the magic happen and did it all seamlessly. Now, what is your plan B, says Luba Gankin. Now, plan B, I assume that what is your plan B in case it rains? If that's the case, it does rain here in France, absolutely. Oftentimes what we always do and what has been done here for the last 25 years is essentially have a massive series of tents, which we set up, we can hold hundreds of people underneath them in case it rains. We generally set them up on the front courtyard because it's beautiful and you can look out at the castle during the event. And then of course we have beautiful spaces within the castle itself. So specifically the grand salon, the salon, the dining room that all interconnect, and that's a beautiful space as well. Depends on the size of the party, of course, So, okay, so and essentially, even if we also have a spillover, we also have partnering other chateaus. We have another Michelin Star Chateau that's got 2 Michelin Star restaurants at it nearby that we also partner with as well for spillover, and also any other needs for guests to stay in, because there's a whole ton of other chateaus in the area that we also partner with as far as where the rest of the guests can stay. But these are absolutely incredible questions. Luba Gankin asks, are you interested in a styled shoot? Well, absolutely. That's all we do here. In fact, we're doing a massive scale fashion production happening here. That's happening in September, actually. And I am, because, in addition to being a TV director and executive producer and celebrity fashion photographer, I'm also conducting a ultra luxury, high-end photographic and video production workshop happening in September, where we are bringing in photographers from all over the world. We're bringing in supermodels from Milan and Paris, and we're doing a massive scale styled shoot where we're going to be doing high-end bridal fashion that's going to be published in a series of high-tier bridal and fashion magazines. We're also doing a costume period piece series where everything is handmade, and creating these unbelievable costume pieces from that epic King Louis XIV era, that whole Rococo and Baroque period, as well as Renaissance. So we have some incredible stuff happening here, massive scale fashion production and high-end filming. We're going to be doing that over 6 days, happening the first week of September, that we are looking forward to. So this is something that's super high-end, and we're really excited. This is an epic photographic and video production workshop, and we're going to be shooting some just mind-blowing content with some incredibly styled productions, but at a scale of $100,000 production. So I'm really excited, and shooting on location inside and outside of the castle. All right, and also some other good comments. Rochelle Mazumdar, she says, I receive incentives from decor venues, but not photographers and videographers, and I assume not also from the locations like venues and caterers. So, okay, so decor. So you're talking about, decor and floral and such, and that's great. That's fantastic. Great, Rachel. Or Rochelle. So I would really encourage you then, if you're not currently receiving incentives from the photographers, the videographers, from the location venue, from the caterers, we are giving you a kickback on 100% of that package. So it's obviously kind of a no-brainer. So Bailey Keene says, for 17 years, we built our wedding and event design business on an artistic experience and approach, including, but not limited to, creating watercolor renderings as concept presentations. Would you allow us to create designs or is that done in-house? Absolutely, Bailey. In fact, I think that's a brilliant thing to do, is to create that design for that clientele. And that could be an additional service that you can, of course, bill the client for that design, which I would recommend. But I think that's absolutely genius. I love it. And a watercolor rendering is absolutely spectacular. And in addition to that, we also offer, if you wanted it, we also offer three-dimensional perfect renderings of the entire space inside and out of the castle for how the event's going to look, as how it's going to be decorated, how it's going to be presented, and everything like that. But I love that, Bailey. That's really, really creative and unique. I think that's fantastic. And I look forward to doing a strategy session with you, a mastermind session with one of our castle consultants, and you as well, Luba, and you other amazing planners that are on right now, Rochelle and Mona, and all these wonderful people that are on. Just like we did with Sarah, actually. It's how we met her to begin with, Sarah Bond. Yeah, and Luba is asking, when does your photography workshop take place? It should be super interesting to attend. Absolutely, Luba. So it's happening on September 3rd through 8th. And if you guys are interested, it is available. I can actually send you guys the link if you are interested in that. You can also ask, when you talk to one of your castle consultants, you can also ask about that as well. I will, I can send you the link on the chat, and you can take a look at all of the incredibleness of the photography workshop series. So that is an amazing experience. I mean, we've been directing these elite photographic and video production workshops for the last 14 and a half years, and creating the most epic and elite photographic experiences worldwide, and literally nothing else compares worldwide. We're essentially the Rolls Royce of photographic experiences. So here, the link is in the chat. So if you are interested in that, let us know. I think it might be closed out, but you might be able to squeeze one more person in. So if you are interested, or you have somebody, I think we might have one spot, but that's it. That's it. Otherwise, it's completely closed out for this incredible experience, because we have all these amazing photographers that have been taking these experiences with us for many, many years. But that sounds like a very, very great experience for you too, for anybody that's interested in stuff like that. It's an incredible experience. And what's great too is that we're working with supermodels from Milan and Paris. And since I have access to the best of the best of the best of the best models, the supermodels that shoot for Vogue, Vanity Fair, and I personally shoot for Burberry, I personally shoot for Giorgio Armani, I have access to the best production worldwide. So I bring in Vogue stylists, I bring in the best of the best models, and that's essentially what we offer. And we're going to be shooting some high tier fashion campaigns here on location at the castle. In fact, the castle's actually already been featured in Vogue in the past, but we're going to be offering that as well. Now, another thing I do want to mention is there is a lot of incredible other opportunities we do here too. In addition to the incredible history that I mentioned earlier, one special thing for those of you ladies out there who were into ballet, it just so happens that the most famous ballet dancer in world history, Rudolf Nureyev, he is like literally the best, the god of dance, of ballet. He happened to live at my chateau. The owners that were the Count de Rat and Roche-Dragons had sold it, they sold it to a very wealthy individual, and his partner was the prima ballerina of the Paris Ballet, Ghislaine, and she danced with Rudolf Nureyev. So he moved into the castle, and he lived here for years, and they built a full-scale ballet studio. So I actually have the Nureyev ballet studio in my castle. So it's a really special experience. So if you have a bride, for instance, who did ballet as a little girl, another really incredible selling factor, the fact that we have the Nureyev ballet studio in the castle. So it's really, really special, incredible experience. So anyway, these are really great questions. And thank you guys so much. So anyway, I could talk about all this stuff all day, because I absolutely love this. And I love hearing from all of you now. And you guys also have been really great with participation. I'm going to be doing a series of these experiences. So if you also have anybody else that would love to jump on, and you feel like would be interested in something like this, please invite them to this. And we're also going to be doing a series of live webinars specifically only for the brides. And of course, wedding planners can jump on, but if you have some luxury brides that you feel like something like this would be a great experience, we're going to be offering that as well. So obviously it's tailored a little differently. We're not talking about the back end of wedding planning. We're talking about the experience of the castle and how it can benefit the bride. So we will definitely keep you guys in touch about those. So if you do want something like that, you let me know and we can personally invite you and your brides to that experience. And then you bring them to the table and they book through you, of course, and you will end up receiving a full 10% kickback commission on the package that they choose. So anyway, I'm really excited, guys, and thank you so much for joining me here live from my castle. I'm really grateful, and I can't wait to see you guys here in person, and hopefully I can have you here personally for a familiarity trip where you get to come and stay at the castle and experience everything we have to offer. So thank you so much. I cannot wait to see you on, and I look forward to hosting you at the French Dream Castle experience for that ultra luxury wedding destination experience. So au revoir from France, and we'll see you soon.